Good morning from Moab, Utah. Following 2 amazing off-road adventures, it's finally time to drive our 2025 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road 1,200 miles all the way back to the Seattle area. Along the way, we are of course going to make a stop on the moon. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. This episode of Driving Sports TV is brought to you by OnX Offroad. Click the link below to save 20% off your new membership using the code DSTV. This is, of course, our 2025 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road. We bought it just a couple months ago to use as a long-term test vehicle. And recently it has been modified with new wheels, tires, rock sliders, underbody protection, and a hidden winch bumper from Addictive Desert Designs and Deviate winches. We have all the details of this build in our Idaho shakedown video, which you can find on YouTube. This video is of course going to focus on our drive back to the Seattle area. But before we do that, I really want to share with you all the dents and dings and bruises that this truck took on our 2 earlier adventures. The first one with Nate from Outdoor Auto up in Idaho, and the other with Tommy from TFL as we tackled the Top of the World Trail. On both trails, the lower control arms caused the most issues. As you can see, they hang down quite a lot, and because of this, they get beaten up quite a bit. This is a design that Toyota has had on their truck-based vehicles going way back. Up front, our new Addictive Desert Designs bumper and the Deviate fairly took the blunt of the hits, and it just shrugged them off, though we did get a battle scar on the lower bumper right over here. We also managed to break a rock, if you can believe it, with the lower shock mount on the back of the truck. The sliders, they slid, the skid plates, they skidded, and even that rear diff guard got a good workout. All of the damage on this truck is merely cosmetic, and most of it will never be seen by anybody other than my mechanic. I also want to throw out to BFG, their KO3s handled the trail brilliantly, and the Method wheels that I actually paid real money for, yeah, those got totally abused, but that's okay, that's why they're on the truck. In short, with these adventures, I think our truck proved that it is durable and capable. But now it's time to saddle up and head out because we have 1,200 miles to cover and a very short period of time to do it. So the journey is 1,200 miles, and we could actually make it shorter by doing a more direct route closer to Boise. But see, as is usual with these type of adventures, I am going to go visit my grandmother on the way back home, and that's because she's 101. Visit her every chance I can get. So we're going to go up in through Missoula, Montana, through Coeur d'Alene, and then back to Seattle. It's a little bit of a loopy direction, but it is what we're doing today. So just going to pull out onto the highway, and we're going to get this party started. Come on, punch it. Gotta admit, this powertrain, it's smooth. It sounds pretty good too. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put on cruise control. I'm also gonna zero out our trip and MPG calculations. We're gonna start those over. We're gonna start here with calculations based on the computer, and then along the way I will do some exact refill of fuel, so that we'll also do some paper calculations to get a more accurate result, or presumably a more accurate result. Okay, well, cruise control is set. On to Idaho. At this point, we've been driving 100 miles and we've averaged 15.6 mpgs. Now, a lot of that was at 80 miles per hour, and a lot of the changes that we made to this truck aren't exactly conducive to good mpgs. That said, I'm going to go ahead and pull into a gas station here, and we're going to refill the tank so we have a nice starting point before we start hitting the mountains up here, and we'll see what this truck can do with its mpgs. I'm going to reset the trip and reset the MPG calculator. Now we're going to run through a full tank, refill, and see what it can do. It's a lot of miles between here and where we're going, so it'll be a little while, but we'll see at least a good idea as to what kind of MPGs we get on a road trip here. Let's go ahead and sit back and we'll carry on into the canyons in South Utah. Let's do it. I love the sound of this truck. It's mellow, you know? Also, comfort. I have now driven this from Seattle down to Moab and around Moab and did a bunch of adventures. The seats are actually really comfortable, which I wasn't entirely sure about because the Land Cruiser has, I think, fundamentally the same seat, but it's a little softer on the upper surface. And this one being a little bit firmer, I was like, okay, well, is it going to be comfortable for a long trip? And so far, that has held up. It has been a comfortable ride for me. Plus, of course, we have heating and kind of cooling. The cooling's a little vague, but they are, cooled seats, and it really provides a nice driving experience. So we're going to take a jump off the freeway here into the town of Helper. There's a really nice little cafe in here, and I could use some coffee before we get deep off-grid in the mountains. This is a cool little town. It's kind of like it's a gentrified old mining town or something like that. I don't really know much about the town, but it is a historic town, and they've done a fantastic job of restoring it. If you've seen the movie Cars, the town of Helper here kind of has the Radiator Springs vibe, and not intentionally. It's just a historic town that has lots of like automotive references. Like there's a historic Sinclair gasoline pump. I mean, how cute is this place?
Drive on the paper for no reason at all.
Really good mocha. For what it's worth, so far we have about 17 miles to the gallon, but I've only gone about 17 miles since I last filled up. It's going to be all downhill from here as we head uphill out of here to go over the mountains. Gonna hit cruise control and take it from here. So we've now been driving since fuel up 3 hours, 54 minutes. I've covered close to 200 miles, and my average MPG's 17.9. Now, caveat to that, we have had speeds all over the place. Everything from around 80 miles per hour as the posted speed down to stop and go traffic as we went through Salt Lake City. Overall, very comfortable seats. Feel really nice. The aircon, super easy to use. It's all big buttons and switches, which makes it really easy. And of course, I love the massive display on this truck. It's so good for maps. So right here, I'm gonna pull off and we're gonna calculate MPGs based on the refill. How much more gas do I need to add in for the miles that we just covered? And we're gonna see how close it is to the computer's estimate that we have up on the dash. Like some other vehicles, with this one, you can run regular fuel, which is kind of interesting because this hybrid setup in the Land Cruiser requires you to use premium. But for America, they have tuned it to run on regular. That said, for maximum performance, you want to fill it up with premium. It will detect what's in the tank and it will adjust timing accordingly. So yeah, I do fill it up with premium. Okay, so we just put in 10.886 gallons, 194.3 miles, equals 17.84 miles to the gallon, which I think is actually pretty good considering we did a lot of that at 80 miles per hour, and there was also a lot of freeway stop and go as well. So yeah, nice. For the next leg of the adventure, it's going to be difficult to calculate MPGs. We're going to have to rely on the total average calculator because we're going to be driving now into the craters of the moon to find a camping spot. That's right, we're spending the night in the craters of the moon. Well, technically it's not the craters of the moon, it's the area surrounding craters of the moon, but this is the fun fact. It is owned by BLM. It is Bureau of Land Management, which allows for free camping. They just don't provide any utilities. But that's okay, we got everything we need right here. Okay, hopping on the freeway, and let's head to the moon. Excellent. Oh, got a little puppy here. Just gotta watch for wild animals out here. Oh, look at this little guy. Oh, look at him go. I guess we got a new buddy. Oh, I think his owner just called him. Anyway, so we are now on BLM land. According to maps, BLM manages about 500,000 acres surrounding the Craters of the Moon National Monument. And of course, out here, there is no data connectivity, so it's really important that I download maps in advance. And for that, I use my favorite tool, OnX Offroad, who also happens to be a sponsor of this video. We love OnX Offroad for planning our off-road adventures. Which trails to drive? How hard are they? Are they even open? OnX Offroad provides all that information in addition to tools to help plan and organize your next adventure. Have you watched one of our mini road trip videos? We use OnX Offroad to plan and navigate every adventure. And right now you can get 20% off your premium or elite membership to OnX Offroad with the code DSTV. That's of course an abbreviation for Driving Sports TV. Look for the link in the video description below or click this QR code. Of course, at this point I am on a dirt road, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over to 4 high. I don't have to stop for that. That's pretty consistent with most trucks. I will have to stop and switch into neutral if I go to 4 low. Now at this point, it locks that center transfer case and gives me essentially a 50-50 split. Now, of course, we got lots of stuff in the back. This is not sponsored by Target. We picked up some new pillows because we forgot to bring our pillows for camping. When I say we, I'm actually here with my son. Wave your hand over here. Yeah, there's his hand. You see him every once in a while. He's actually filming for the show now. And we decided, hey, this is a great opportunity for some camping out in Idaho. Now, where are we going to camp? OnX Offroad here does show us all of the areas that are BLM. That's all the kind of yellowish areas. And then, of course, we also have these little blue areas, which are owned by the state of Idaho, which is kind of funny. The location that we're going to maybe try to get to today is up here, which we've marked. This is the Old Trapper Cabin, which I've never actually been to. I was thinking we might try to find it, but I'm not sure if we're going to do that tonight. We might just, if we see a good campsite along the way, we're probably just going to take it. And by campsite, I mean a place that's level. That's all I'm looking for. Obviously, this is very different terrain than what we were experiencing over in Moab. It's kind of funny to think we were just in Moab this morning. We were just running the Top of the World Trail yesterday. Actually, we were wrapping up at a little bit, actually we were just sitting down for dinner now in Moab. So it is kind of a rough trail, but I'm not going to really worry about airing down at this point. It's just an inconvenience, and I don't really feel like I'm getting, it's not that brutal of a trail at this point. Got to keep an eye open. Big boulders sitting in the middle of the track. Now I know that the north side of this particular route, the one I highlighted in red, is actually quite smooth and gravelly, which is nice. It's this south part that is really rugged. And also, our tire pressures are not particularly high. We do have E-loads. These are very heavy tires. We ask for the extra ply E-loads because they're more durable, but they're also heavier. The expense for that is not just the tires up front, but also you pay with economy. It actually cuts fuel, your MPGs by a couple miles to the gallon here and there, depending on how you're driving. But we do have durability. The chances of us needing that full-size spare I have mounted in the back are pretty slim. Now on the truck, I do have mounted a high lift jack, otherwise known as a farm jack. That is used for, of course, any jacking situation. And the cool thing about this truck is that it actually has jack points specifically for a farm jack in the back, which is really neat. Also, these sliders do function as high lift jack points also. But I say that all hoping that we don't need to do any of that today. Actually, we're making pretty good time here so far. But, you know, distance is deceptive on trails like this because there are sections where you have to slow down quite a lot and you can't really make as good of time. Man, it is pretty out here, but it is desolate. I mean, there's just some scrub, some rocks. I don't even know if there's any like animals that live out here. Probably some. I think there might be coyotes, probably. That's probably the biggest thing out here. That's actually why the trapper's cabin was built, is they were kind of getting overrun with coyotes back in the day, and the government actually paid people to come out and hunt them. And while they were hanging out here hunting, they had to have cabins, so they built those. I think this is the way I went. Okay, well, this is clearly not a very well-traveled route. Wow, okay. We might have trouble not just finding the trapper cabin, we might have trouble just finding the road. Yikes. Also, we need to find a place that's not going to be just rocks to sleep on, because that's not going to be fun. Even a 4-inch sleep pad's not going to help you with that. Okay, some people have clearly camped here. I like that. That's a good sign. This looks pretty good right here, I think. Actually looks like there's soil on the ground. Yeah, I don't think this is too bad. Just look for anthills. Even though we are in the middle of nowhere, I still have a video that I need to proof and publish for you guys. So how do I do that? Out here in the middle of nowhere. I actually started using Starlink for this, and this isn't an ad. I just want to point out the fact that if you want to go off grid for your life, but you still have commitments that require bandwidth, well, Starlink's really the only option. If you want to get a free month of Starlink, you can use a code right here. That will also give me a free month of Starlink, so I can keep doing this and still stay on schedule, getting you guys videos every week. Okay, let's get this set up. Then we're gonna eat dinner, and then it's gonna be me getting back to work. So here we have our very fine dinner. It is a charcuterie a la middle of nowhere. Sourdough rolls, medium cheddar, Tillamook of course, and Italian dry salami, and coconut water, because it is what was available where I was at, and I like coconut water, so there we go. Oh, that's a good cup of coffee. So, incredibly peaceful night. It is so quiet out here. All you could hear are the coyotes in the distance. And fun fact, more people have died in the US from drowning in molasses than people have been killed by coyotes. So that always just makes you feel a little bit better when you hear a pack down the way. So at this point, Corbin and I are gonna pack up camp. We're gonna hit the road and, well, try to find the road out of here. And along the way, we're also gonna try to find that trapper's cabin that I have yet to find out here on Craters of the Moon. So now our goal today is to go find the trapper cabin, which should be up here on the right somewhere. And we're gonna see just what we can see. And then we're gonna head north up into Montana and then back home to Washington. Okay, so we're gonna connect to what is kind of a main road up ahead. Main road. It's definitely gonna be a more significant path than this track we're on right now. Although this one is mapped, believe it or not, this is a mapped track across this across this desert, basically. You know, when you buy a truck like this, it's not that uncommon to swap out the suspension. And obviously this is the lowest end of the TRD off-road style trims. I mean, you have TRD Pro, you have Trail Hunter, but I have to give props to the Toyota team. These Bilsteins are excellent. They really are good. And that's actually one of my hesitations about actually upgrading to a 2-inch lift, is that I'm going to lose this ride. I really like the ride quality at this stock height and with these remote reservoir, well, not remote, piggyback reservoir Bilsteins. We go from dirt to rock. Now I could air down, but I'm not running at really high pressures, and it is cold this morning, so we're already starting out a little lower on pressure at 29 all corners, which isn't too bad. So these little juniper scrubs, or I don't know what they're called, they can scratch pretty bad if we hit one of the main stalks. The little fluffies aren't too bad, but they do have these thick stalks in between. Because this is on the outskirts of the Craters of the Moon National Preserve and Park or whatever, it looks very much like Craters of the Moon, although you don't have this sheer volume of rock, of that like lava rock that you get in the other part of the actual park proper, but it is still very cool. It's almost like just driving across it right here. I think every national park should have like an adjacent off-road area where you can drive through what feels like the main park, but isn't actually. Okay, this is the main road. So obviously we're gonna go take a right up to the Trapper's Cabin. Now, the last time I tried to go up to the Trapper's Cabin, I was thwarted by a lot of ice and water. The temperatures were rising, the ice was melting, things were getting pretty tricky. But I was able to get through it safely, which is nice, but I had to make the decision to basically skip the Trapper's Cabin. But not today, because we have sunny days, full tank of gas, and we're loaded for bear, in a figurative sense. Always kind of reminds me of Kenya out here. You expect to see like a, I don't know, an elephant right over there, or maybe a giraffe right over there. But no, we don't really have any of that here. Okay, there's a bunch of this. Let's go ahead and skip ahead to the Trapper's Cabin and see what we can see there. This is if we find it. Thought of a name for this truck, but it needs 35s, I think, if we're going to call it this. So I really like my Land Cruiser. So we have the Land Cruiser and we have the Land Crusher. Land Crusher, maybe? What do you think? Post a comment below. But man, if you're ever near South Idaho and you want to feel like you're nowhere else on this planet, try Craters of the Moon. It's really cool. Should be on the left. This is literally called Trapper Cabin Road, the road we were just on. Should be around here, but I don't see it. No sign of a Trapper Cabin of any kind. The funny thing is, because we have all of these rock formations, every one of them I'm looking at, I go, is that the cabin? Is that the cabin? And it's like, no, it's just a big rock. Because the maps were not accurate in that regard. And I find these maps to typically be extremely accurate. So I think somebody just threw down where they thought it was as a marker, and they were wrong. Might be a Trapper Cabin intersection. Might mean there's a cabin here. And nothing. Whole lot of nothing. Okay, well, I think at this point we're going to reconnect to the main track and head up to the actual park to take a look at some really cool moon rocks. Because I've given up on the cabin for today. See the main track up ahead. We're going to jump onto that and head north up to the actual park area. And then we're going to get back on the highway and head to Montana. We just made it through Arco, Idaho. Arco is a very cool town. It was one of, if not the first city to be exclusively lit by atomic power. It's pretty awesome. But the best thing about Arco isn't that. It's this place called Pickles Place, which has amazing breakfasts. Should have filmed it, didn't. But I got some photos to show. Yeah, it was good. Is it so good I might come out to Arco to explore some of these BLM mountain trails? Yeah, just maybe, because I pretty much think we got breakfast, lunch, and dinner all sorted right there. I have been using cruise control quite a lot on this trip, and I have to say, it actually works really well. It has great lane centering. The adaptive cruise works perfect. The only thing that kind of is a little annoying is that when I have lane detect on, I do have to kind of give the wheel a slight shrug, but it's not as bad as on the Ranger Raptor. That one, you really had to give it a good go. However, on my Land Cruiser 250, it actually uses electrostatic detection, so it knows my hands are on the wheel. And so even when lane centering is turned on, I never have to shrug the wheel. And I kind of really like that on the Land Cruiser. But this is still pretty good. And this actually does work better than the system that's on the Ranger Raptor. We are entering the town of Dubois. Actually, it's funny, in my mind, all I remember in this town was the gas station. But apparently there's actually other stuff here. My memory did not serve me well. Just entered Montana, and it basically looks the same. Now, this section of road also gave the Land Cruiser a real issue with achieving decent MPGs. I think a lot of it has to do with not only that we're gaining elevation the whole time, but there's also a lot of hills. And then on top of that, the posted speed limit here is 80. So aerodynamics, huge effect in this portion of the road. And then of course, keep in mind, I have heavy E-load tires. So that is going to reduce my MPGs. And then I also have a Pelican case mounted to the top of the rack, which also, yet again, is impacting my MPGs. So according to my gauges right now, I've done 33 miles of driving in these conditions, and my average MPGs, you want to guess? You want to guess? You're probably wrong. I've been doing 12.6 MPGs, which, yeah, okay. That sounds about right, given all the caveats of what's going on here. This is kind of what I expect, though, when I modify a truck like this. This isn't an MPG machine. It isn't. You know, call it for what it is. This is highly capable, very comfortable. I actually really enjoy driving this. I like the sounds it makes. I love this huge screen now. And overall, yeah, I just like this. This is so great. I've now driven it from Seattle to Moab, back over to Montana, and we still have 5 more hours before we get to Coeur d'Alene, and then past that we have another 5 hours to get to Washington State. So yeah, keep on pressing on, I guess. And of course you have long, endless highway. Oh, and rocks, really cool rocks. Some of the mountains around here just look amazing. Of course, we're not driving over the mountains, we're going through the valley, but it is up and down, up and down, up and down the whole way. At this point, I've been driving a little bit more than 2 hours. I am down to almost a quarter of a tank. Now, once this truck does get all the way to empty, it actually has a little bit more than 2 gallons as its reserves. But we're not going to dip into reserves. So we're going to actually take the next exit, and when I do, I'm going to fill up the gas, and we're going to calculate what the MPGs were on this last leg. And of course, keep in mind, E-load tires, box on top, and speeds posted at 80 miles per hour. Let's see what it did. So let's do the math. 180.6 miles and 12.61 gallons. Gallons equals 14.33 mpgs. The calculated was 14.3 mpgs, so it actually was spot on. And if you think that's not great, yeah, you're right, it's not great. However, and I would challenge you, take any other truck in this class, put E-loads on it, put a box on it, and see how well you do. I guarantee probably not going to be much better than this. Right, so again, just underline the fact that this is a power hybrid. It is not for ultimate fuel economy. What freeway are we on? We're on 90. We're already on 90. Cool. We can take this all the way home. But first, we're going to stop in Missoula because there's a place that has really good pie. Let's do it. And I'm done calculating MPGs, so I'm foot to the floor now. Since leaving Seattle earlier this week, we have driven 2,308 miles. Now, of course, we also did adventures in Idaho and Moab, and then we had Craters of the Moon, which we finished up this morning. Overall, it's been an absolutely fantastic adventure, and this truck is really made for these kind of experiences. It has the capability that you need for off-road adventures, yet it also is very, very comfortable. Now, in terms of economy, yeah, that is a bit of a problem, but once you start putting on big tires, roof racks, accessory boxes, all that stuff, you're gonna see economy plummet on any vehicle. And this truck is simply no different. So at this point, what else would I change with this truck? Well, I love the rack. I think the rack works really well. I'm still working on some mounting stuff. The farm jack keeps coming a little loose and I have to tighten it down again. So I just need to, take care of that. So basically some little adjustment stuff going on. I don't have a rooftop tent. I might add one later. I don't actually love rooftop tents. Yes, they're very easy to set up and to use, but you're also hauling around a ton of weight on the upper part of the vehicle, and I don't love that. And you want to talk about, of course, ruining economy, put something even bigger up on the roof of the truck. Yeah, not exactly something that I really want to do. Although I might try it just to see if I'm wrong. Maybe I'll love it. So I think we're going to wrap it up on something way more exciting than just using cruise control on the freeway. We're going into Missoula and we're going to get some pie. And that's a great way, I think, to end the episode. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you. I hope you enjoy them. And what do you want to see me do next to this truck? Post a comment below. Let's talk about it. Thanks again for watching. See ya. You're still here?